better. Bottom line, like they have not been good enough the last few years to be good. I mean, to have people want their coaches. That's why. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, you know, they think that they were. I mean, and I think now the harsh reality is set on them that, yeah, no, they got to be, it's got to be something different now.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be good enough to have people that other people would want, and they haven't. They've had guys who are, you know, good for the situation at hand, but not really appealing to anybody outside of that. I mean, I can't recall the last guy that was a big Tex. I mean, the one thing is if you're an assistant in Texas outside of a head coaching spot or a coordinator position, there's not really much of a step up. So if Alabama or schools like that aren't calling, then you're not going to be losing coaches. But mostly it's just because there's not really been any coordinators or position coaches that are all that desired. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess it says something about, you know, where they've been the last several years, but there's definitely a little bit of a difference with Steve Sarkisian already. You can feel it and you can sense it, just kind of the way he's going about his business.
All right, the Cowboys offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, was at least a part of the list. The Eagles have thrown out Todd Archer, he casted a wide net that they are interested in talking to Kellen Moore. Urban Meyer, Zachary Lashway on Twitter, Zach Lashway. Urban Meyer in a jet, a Lear, just landed at Cecil Airport in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
so
a couple hours
that's heating
ago.
up, yeah.
A couple hours ago he was there. So, yeah, Urban Meyer may very well be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have the first overall pick. I don't know what the GM situation would be, but probably him having a lot of the control. And, you know, if you hire the head coach before you hire the GM, then that says a lot. So you would have, you know, Urban with the pretty big position of power, and that's what you would have to offer him to get him to come out of his really cozy college football announcing gig. So it's a big gamble by the Jaguars, but, I mean, I don't know who else you'd go out and get that's going to be much bigger of a splash or who would be more interesting. And when you've tried all of the other guys that you've tried, I mean, hell, why not try Urban Meyer and just see if he's the one that can make it work?
Yeah, and I do think that at this point in his career, he probably needs to go to the NFL where he can behave in the fashion that he behaves, and it doesn't maybe land as hard. And I'm trying to be professional here, but
you're not.
He's duplicitous. He's duplicitous. He's a scumbag. I mean, you know, all these things that have happened, and then he's going to go to the NFL. And, like, everybody pretends like none of this ever happened with Urban Meyer. Yeah. Like, that's the thing that bothers me. It's like, why are we pretending like none of it ever happened?
He's in that group of people, man, that does not have the same rules that we all have. You know, it's like, hey, it's okay because he can win football games for you. You know?
I mean, and if that's what you want to say, like, look, I get it. He's, you know, he does some stuff, but
I'm not disagreeing on how you're trying to describe him, but God, you hate him, and it's like you will never give up on this man.
But my thing has nothing to do anymore with the fact that, I mean, he was a better coach at Florida when he was coaching Florida. That's
where your hate started.
I mean, that's where I didn't.
That's why you hate Tim Tebow, and because you think he's hypocritical.
Yeah.
If he'd been the quarterback at Georgia, you wouldn't feel the same way.
I probably wouldn't have started feeling that way as early on. But everything that Urban, like, I like Steve Spurrier. I don't have any problem with him. You know, I mean, he's fine, you know, but Urban Meyer, like, just the way that, like, you do this and then there's no repercussions for him. None.
Well, there weren't that he had to give up his job basically at Florida. He could say whatever reasons of why, and he had to kind of leave Ohio State, and we know why. So he's lost 2 jobs over this, right?
Yeah, and you can't really throw him in jail for anything. I mean, he's not the one that went and killed somebody. Aaron Hernandez is. He's not the one that went and assaulted people other players were. I mean, he had a ragtag group of just straight-up thugs when he was at Florida. There's no doubt. But I bet if we went over to Texas or Florida State or Oklahoma or wherever, we could find the same group of guys.
Barry Switzer had a guy that was selling cocaine inside the athletic dorm and on the front of Sports Illustrated. Lost his job over it, basically, because it got to a point where they had guns and stuff.
Well, I think
we love Barry Switzer.
Well, yeah, but Barry Switzer didn't suddenly cite a heart issue when he was in the heat of probably getting fired and investigated because his group of players had become so off the rails and so known for getting into trouble of some sort that all of a sudden he has a heart issue. And I think that's where people just kind of roll their eyes that he's Urban Liar. That's why people call him Urban Liar. So no, he's not a trustworthy guy, but he's a hell of a football coach. He hasn't done anything illegal to our knowledge. So, yeah, a bit of a scumbag, but if you're Jacksonville, is he worth the risk? Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
look, he is. There's only one football coach in America that's better at his job than Urban Meyer.
And that might be because he's never really stopped coaching in Nick Saban, right?
Yeah.
Meyer might have 5 national titles, or 6, if he would have continued to coach.
I would think it's because maybe Nick Saban has a different standard as to what how long he'll go before he lets it. I think that's probably the difference between Urban Meyer and Nick Saban is that, like Craig said, you can go to any school and they've got problems. They've got guys who are on the edge and they've got issues. It's how far do you let those issues go before you deal with it? And that's probably the biggest difference between Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. Nick Saban probably has a slightly, different, view of where that degree is, where you let it go.
Well, it seems like basically with guys like Urban Meyer, Rich Rodriguez was just hired at UL Monroe, right? He got a job. We've seen others who have been on the rebound for whatever things they have done or allowed to happen, or they themselves have had. Again, Phil Bennett, I thought, even the Ryan Pugh story, as far as what happened with him. There are some that have great agents and incredible image campaign people to kind of help them bounce back or just kind of deflect. It's kind of like water on a duck's back with him. We can bring up Art Briles. I don't know if he'll ever, and I'm not trying to get into that topic because I know it's such a almost a violent amount of polarization with him, but he doesn't get the same type of deflection. He doesn't get that same kind of, but, and that maybe blame it on the fact he doesn't have a great agent. I don't know.
I think that must be part of it because the same people who curse Art Briles and say that he should rot in hell are the same ones that were champion Urban Meyer.
No, absolutely.
And there's really not much of a difference between the two. And, in fact, I bet if you dug that you'd probably find more skeletons in Urban's closet, quite honestly.
Yeah, sure.
That we're just not aware of. But, yeah, I mean, it's a dirty thing. It really is that there are not necessarily repercussions, but I mean, he did, basically lose 2 jobs of it. He might have said like, hey, I'm stepping down from this one. But I mean, he was just beating the firing that was coming in both those situations. So, I mean, he's going to go to Jacksonville potentially. That's what it looks like. That's why we're talking about him. And he'll have Trevor Lawrence to, be his first quarterback and a bunch of draft picks and a billionaire, Saudi oil family.
And nowhere else to go but up because
and nowhere to go but up because they stink.
And in Florida. He's in Florida, right?
Yeah, and he's back in Florida. So they, Jacksonville's a nice little city. It's fine, So yeah, I mean, that could be a good situation.
254-339-1122. Your thoughts about Urban Meyer, Craig? I just wanted to get the number out there because we have a guest at 3:30. Your feedback on Urban Meyer going perhaps to Jacksonville? He's there, and also the win by Texas Tech over Texas last night in the Big 12.
Yeah, go ahead, finish your thought, Craig.
I finished my thought. Okay. He said it right as I was trying to finish it.
But there are some that can deflect the negative or the background or the stories they've been attached to more than others.
Yeah, and I'm all about.
It's also those who hire them are not petrified.
I'm all about everybody getting a second act.
It took a high school superintendent in Mount Vernon, Texas, to have the balls to say, we're hiring Art Briles.
Yeah,
and we don't care, and we're going to hire a PR firm, and they did with Brett Shipp, and they handled it. And he never buckled, but the Browns and the CFL. Urban Meyer he's wooed people, right?
I mean, the superintendent, he's got balls to have made that call, but there are plenty of people with sets as big as his that just had no interest to begin with.
No, that's true. That's true, too. That's true.
Yeah, he had the courage or whatever you want to call it to do it, but that was after like 100 other people with just as much were like, no thanks, we're not interested at all. And he wanted to win football games, and that's where it ultimately comes back to. Art Briles did not get hired by that superintendent in Mount Vernon because he's an average football coach and just a really great guy. He got hired because that guy knew that so long as Art kept his nose clean, they would win a bunch of football games and maybe go to state. And what happened? 2 years in, they're playing for a state title. So if you're the Jaguars, and the NFL doesn't care about any off-the-field stuff anyways. They pretend to. They really don't. They care more about marijuana than they do about a guy beating the mess out of his girlfriend. So let's be real about the situation. So, yeah, if you're Jacksonville, You ask all the questions about your heart. You sure it's okay here? Your heart's good? Any skeletons that we don't know about from the Florida years that are going to, creep back up and cost us? And go win football games, and that's all he's got to do.
Here's the interesting part about, to me, Urban Meyer. It's not him taking the job at Jacksonville, and he will win. He will win.
I don't know.
Here's the part about Urban Meyer. How long will he be there?
Yeah.
Larry Brown, and Cooperstein just put it up, Chuck Cooperstein. Larry Brown would turn a program around, whether it's in the NBA or if it's in Kansas or anywhere in college basketball or the NBA. But he's not someone that was going to stay there long. Jimmy Johnson, who didn't, Jimmy didn't have a bunch of choir boys at Miami.
No.
But Jimmy Johnson was not Parcells. They weren't going to stay anywhere very long, even though Parcells was with the Giants for a long, long time.
Yeah. I mean, you got to build them up to get them good enough to be, to a situation where you can move on, and we'd have to see if Urban Meyer can do that.
If he can do it within the time frame of where he's allowed to be comfortable somewhere.
And the only other thing on that too is if he were to be really successful in a couple of years. I know the world can change dramatically in just a couple of years, but it's not like any of the blue bloods really have openings right now either, or anyone's for the foreseeable future. I mean, Ohio State's booked up with Ryan Day. Texas is locked up with Sarkisian.
He didn't want to be there anymore.
And he didn't want to go there, yeah. So.
I mean, Urban's not going to Michigan. I couldn't see that happening. I mean, maybe USC, but that would mean he'd have to go there in like the next year or two, and I don't think you're taking the Jacksonville job to leave in a year or two, but it's Urban Meyer, so who knows?
254-339-1122. Former Baylor and Tulsa quarterback Zach Smith will join us on Turning Pro. He'll join us today here in just a moment. 254-339-1122. Also, the Willis Law Firm chat room is open. Paul, the phone lines.
T-Rex, you're on the Impact Health Labs caller line. Thanks for your call on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Hope y'all having a good Thursday. You don't know what the difference between Urban Meyer and Art Brawls is? The Board of Regents at Florida didn't screw their coach. That's the difference. That's all I got to say. I'm hanging up. There's the Board of Regents. That's all it is. If you don't like that, then that's your problem. Sic'em Bears.
Thanks for the call, T-Rex. Appreciate your time. And there are ways of when you're on your way out, how it ends. With Urban Meyer, he kind of left Florida. There were thoughts about his health. At Ohio State, he left Ohio State. There was a little smoke there because of who was it?
Zach Smith.
Zach Smith, and that story that eventually kind of caught up with him as well.
Was it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Zach,
so
not the Zach Smith we're about to have on.
No, not Zach Smith. Grandview, Baylor, and Tulsa as well. So there you go. 254-339-1122. That's the number to call. And we will hear from a Baylor assistant coach at Baylor basketball at 3:45 today as well. Huh? 4:45, excuse me, 4:45. All right, Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. Armstrong, take a picture of yourself on the video stream. There you go. It almost looks like you're in a bunker. Like
I am.
Under the U.S. Capitol or something like that.
Yeah.
You are in a bunker. You are.
I wish that there was some sort of setting we could put on that light on your face.
I think we need to.
I like looking like a ghost. Right. You got a problem with that? Yeah.
It looks like you're sunburned or you're a ghost. What?
Like the bear heads behind us.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
Colt Barber was in town earlier today. We kind of changed up the background, the imaging as well. We still have the players. Like, for example, you see Treston Ebner, thanks to Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, with their title sponsorship of the show in the studio. Of course, IdealMRI.com and Petty Clinic as well on the graphics, along with everybody you're about to hear throughout the show. Couple of high school football coaching notes. There is one of the most premier tradition-rich programs in Texas. It appears as if could be at any moment a change. I cannot confirm yet, but that is happening in the area. I've spoken to pretty much everybody within the school district, including the coach who could not confirm anything, so I won't say it, but that's happening. And then Waco University and Waco High. Waco High, I think, offered the job to a local football coach who then turned it down. He was in the mix, turned it down. He's going to stay where he is. And I'm waiting for him to talk to his team to make sure that they know that he's coming back, because that's good news for him. But there is a former Temple a former Waco High coach in the Central Texas area that is still in the running for that job at Waco High, and an out-of-state coach involved in the job at either Waco High and also at University High. And one more note, a former Midway assistant that's not in the area right now is also one of the finalists, it appears, for the job at University High. So that's that. Those are a couple of high school notes to pass along your way.
Well, good luck to whoever takes those jobs, because you have a lot of work to do. University, we know the struggles that they've had over the years, and Waco High has been, not really all that relevant for a few years now. Going on a few years. So they've got to contend with the Midways, the Connollys, the La Vegas, and the China Springs even now to get the attention of Greater Waco, and we'll see who these guys are going to be, but best of luck to them for sure.
This is the time, remember the pandemic we said might affect how coaches are not like being tossed around like dish rags when it comes to their jobs. We've seen as many coaching changes, it seems like, as ever before. High school football, I know there's already 20-something, 30-something coaches, maybe 40-something coaches in not Central Texas, but in the state of Texas, who have already now basically, they're looking for jobs. Or like Ronnie Porter a couple of days ago decided he wanted to retire from football. But that's happening. Here we go. It's a churning thing. Usually it happens. A realignment year, it's even worse. There's going to be, I'm sure there's like 100 and some coaches that will be changing jobs or being fired or moving to other jobs. It's like they're just like a spin the wheel. On the rotation of coaches. It's like musical chairs. All right, coming up next, we'll hear from Zach Smith. He put up an image yesterday on his Twitter account that he's turning pro. He had the option to come back for another year under Philip Montgomery and company. Zach Smith, former Baylor quarterback as well, is next on SicEm365 Radio. If you have a pickup truck and you want to dice it up, add something to it that may not have been a part of when you bought it, Pickup Outfitters is where you can go at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Jay Aaron, I reached out to Jay earlier today about a couple of things that I saw on his website, and here's what they have. I turned on my computer. Here's what they have. They have bed liners. They have covers for your bed. They have bumpers and grill guards. They have steps, bump steps, and all what you want to give your pickup truck even more of what, in fact, you want if it's not a part of what you had when the original deal. For example, the truck accessories, bed covers, bed liners, spray-in bed liners, and bed mats, lay-in spread liners as well, and also bumper replacements, truck caps, camper shells, and toppers, floor liners and mats that custom fit your bed, or they'll make sure that it does, and grill guards, hitches, level kits, lowering kits, step bars, Nerf bars, running boards, toolboxes, light bars, and also what you need for your pickup truck. And one of the things about Pickup Outfitters, of course, as well, it always is with this. Everything that's purchased and installed at and by Pickup Outfitters comes with their famous lifetime installation guarantee, and they also will give you free warranty assistance. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive, createacommotion.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sauces, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Smith to throw. He's got Palmer, who reaches across. James Palmer, his first career touchdown, and he puts Tulsa ahead.
Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
He's a former star quarterback at Grandview, at Baylor, and then what a year in career he had at Tulsa. What a year it was for Philip Montgomery as well. We, in fact, had Coach Montgomery on the show. Jackson Player as well, the former Midway star this past year. Zach Smith joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Zach, you had the option, like everybody does, to continue on for another year. Your decision, you're going to enter the NFL draft, your decision, and how you've been. Nice to have you on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great to be here.
What went into your decision? Did you just feel like it was time for you to go test the waters? Did you hear anything as far as a grade from the NFL?
I just kind of felt, in my gut and my heart that it was my time to, go ahead and declare and kind of move on to the next steps, in my career. So that's just kind of how I felt, and, I kind of ran with it.
Zach, I know that transferring has to be a really hard and complex, kind of a crazy thing, but could it have worked out any better for you than it did at Tulsa with Coach Monty?
No, once I got up there, I felt at home. Just me and Coach Monty's relationship. He's the first one to recruit me out of high school, and not getting the chance to play for him at in Waco, and then finally getting that chance once I got up to Tulsa. I had a great time, great career up there, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
How special was this season, Zach? I mean, undefeated in conference play. You get to go play for a title. You had some incredible late game heroics. I mean, you guys were one of the top stories, it seemed like, every week in college football on the highlight shows. Just how much fun did you have, and how special was it being a part of that run by Tulsa this year?
Man, it was a crazy season. It was crazy. But those games, we had a lot of close games, but we found ways to win, and that's what great teams do, and that's what we were, man. We were a great team, and a couple losses to finish out the season, but that's not really how I look at the season. It was an incredibly successful season, and man, I wouldn't trade any of those guys, my teammates, for anyone. And man, I had a blast playing this year.
Zach, what did you learn about yourself from the time you were at Baylor? You transferred to Tulsa. Everything was not just easy. You had to earn things there as well, to the career you had. What did you learn about Zach Smith?
Just I'm persistent. I'm consistent, and I'm tough. So, whatever's thrown at me, I'm gonna, go at it head on. Take it over, beat it, and just keep moving forward. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is just persistence and perseverance.
When you were at Grandview, you guys had a good run, but when you left and were in college, what are your thoughts about the Zebras and what they did? And Dane Jensen, back-to-back state titles, and they were really good this year as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. They got after it. And, I got to catch up and, watch a few of those games, and they were really good. My younger brother actually played center on the first state championship team. I can't remember what year that was. I guess it was maybe 18, I guess it was.
Yep.
But, yeah, man, I got to catch up and watch some of those games, and Dane and, the entire Grandview Zebras, man, they were getting after it, and, it made my heart happy, watching my hometown team going out there and, win a state, especially back-to-back and, punishing people, man. It was really fun to watch, and it was really neat.
So what's the next couple of months? Are you going to train in a different city? Or, I know it's still COVID, so that's got to be challenging, but what's your plan?
Yeah, so I'll probably be training up in Plano with QB Country, and then I'll probably be going back and forth to Mississippi. And I actually just got back from Mississippi a few days ago, working with Brett Favre a little bit, and probably just kind of that ongoing scenario. So that's probably what it'll be for the next few months.
It's a nice little name drop by Zach there.
Yeah, hey.
Little Brett Favre, huh?
Yeah, just some guy, some guy named Brett Favre. Have you dealt with? Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Have you worked with him before? Or, any kind of connections to him before?
No, first time working with him was last week, and it was really cool. Really cool to get some, gain some knowledge and wisdom from him, and pick up, some tips and tricks.
There are some things, though, that he can't teach you because he had that arm that, God gave him. That he just kind of did things.
Yeah, for sure. He has an absolute cannon.
Zach's got a pretty good one, too, though. Yeah. Zach's got a pretty good little strong arm. Hey, Zach, when Phil Montgomery got to Tulsa, got some pretty good wins, right away. And then the last 3 years, it was a little bit more of a struggle. 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. How important was it that Tulsa stayed committed to him, and how much of an impact did that have on the program, that they didn't panic like some programs will do after a couple of years, and they just stayed the course to allow you guys to have a season like you had this year?
Yeah, I think it's everything. When new coaches come in, you're gonna have some lulls here and there. Like mountains and valleys. You gotta stay consistent. Through those. And I think that's what Tulsa did. And by staying, with Coach Monty, and obviously it panned out, and we had a great season this year. And I think it's just going to continue to build and get better and better. It's only up from here.
Zach, you always handled everything with class, from the time you were at Baylor to what you did at Tulsa as well. How difficult was it? You were handpicked to be one of the next guys under an Art Briles offense. Philip Montgomery, of course, is the one who recruited you. How difficult was that that you had to kind of make a decision to leave? Charlie Brewer was on campus. Now he's going to Utah. So a few years later, he's headed out of town as well. What is that like? And what are your thoughts and advice about players who have the opportunity right now to go where they want to go anytime they want to go?
Yeah, I think it's first off, it was, an extremely difficult decision for me to decommit and transfer. And, but with that, I just felt like it was the right decision for me. And, I felt that was the right decision in my heart. So, I went with it and, went up there. And then, but like you were saying, with my advice to, kids now is just, I would just say, work your tail off. And then when you look back at it, if that's the move that you're going to make, you don't want to regret anything or leave anything behind that you will regret later. I would say work your tail off until that's absolutely, your last resort. And if it comes to that, then, it comes to that. But work your tail off and, leave no regrets and leave nothing behind. And, you won't have any doubt about your decision.
So, Zach, I know it was a really tough season for everybody. We had, here in Waco, I think 2 or 3 different shutdowns during the season with the football program. Was it like the biggest sense of relief when the clock hit all zeros in a way, that the protocols and all that were done? Like, how difficult was that to manage as a player this year?
Man, it was pretty crazy, this year's been like any other year, for everyone. But as far as, being a player and stuff, it was tough, man. We were having to, get tested and, like 3 or 4 times a week. And then it seemed like every game for us, we'd get to play a game and then the next week it would get canceled or postponed or something like that. It almost felt like we were playing a game every other week. And it felt like almost, it was kind of making us get off rhythm to some extent. And then we'd end up finding it, within the game. But it was tough. And, I couldn't be more proud of, my teammates and my coaches and, just the entire staff up at Tulsa with, how we handled it. And, especially our trainers and stuff, making sure that we're following protocols and putting everybody in the right position.
By the way, I spoke for a second or two with Bo Trahan, who you spent a lot of time with, obviously former Baylor coach. He's up there. There's